got this thing like a week ago because my mother had been in Florida for 6 weeks and I guess it went to her house.
Yes.
And I just felt so good today because I'm a hospice nurse, so every Thursday we have a meeting about all our patients, and we have like 30, 40 patients on our program. And I told everybody I was going to this group of the Maslow-Toffler School Futuristic Education. I felt so wonderful because everybody knew who Abraham Maslow was, and everybody knew who Alvin Toffler was. And I feel like in my practice, I teach people every day about Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of needs. And so it was almost like an extension of my life. And every day when I sit down and talk to people and I say, do you know that sex is just as important as oxygen? And they look at me like I'm crazy, you know, and I, you know, when I begin to talk to them, and in terms of alternative programs,
all students must be in their class when the bell rings.
for education.
All late minutes will be
But
doubled.
I think part of the
Any
thing
student
that I
arriving
love
more than
about
5 minutes late will be charged
working
with
with
half an absence.
dying patients is that whatever works for them is okay with me.
That's right.
You know, because they're dying, so whatever alternative method that works for them.
At
It's
this
great.
time, all
And
students should be in class.
I wish we heard that without that. I would love
we
that.
read that
perfect. Yeah, it's perfect, yes.
That's the structure.
Late minutes.
We read that book, A Girl One Died.
All you need is the bell
Charged with half an absence.
We read that book. I read that book.
Yes.
Send the evening high school off.
I just
Thank
think
you.
that some of the people that are dying are just beginning to grow.
Yes.
And it's just so miraculous that sometimes people take a lifetime before they can look at themselves and know who they are and know what they want. And so, you know, whatever alternative method works for anybody.
I am so happy that you have all come tonight. I'm maybe it's part of my Irish heritage that I apologize for everything, and I just stopped another apology coming out, which I'm not going to continue with, but because we ran over. But the delight that I am experiencing, both listening to you and seeing you, is tempered somewhat by the sadness that I didn't get to hear from everybody here tonight who might like to have said something. There is a possibility that is now open to any of you who are able to join us subsequently next week, the week after, up through the 5th of May, when hopefully many of you will be able to rejoin us, and those who are not here tonight will be able to come back on that night, so that we can either do some particular activity together, or we can see perhaps this video might be appropriate to show on the last night again. I don't know, because it does a kind of a quick catch-up of all of the years at the end, the last 5 minutes, during the singing that one tune, one voice, when we look back over the whole period.
This particular evening
Yes.
is dedicated to our class,
1975.
so that in the subsequent meetings, there'll be other students from the other classes
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Is that correct?
But they're open to anyone from MT staff or student who would like and is able to come and join. So I'm particularly grateful that Steve came today, because of our long conversation and his honesty with me. I encouraged him to come and express his feelings and his perceptions at this point in his life. I think it's really important that he say it, that we all hear it, and because he knew and I knew that there's going to be a difference of opinion, and that's great. That's great that there's a difference of opinion. But I'm really glad that you came tonight. Really appreciate
I'd like to say one thing on Brian's behalf.
Yes.
Brian and I talked a lot about Maslow.
At this time, all students should be in class. Those arriving late should be charged with appropriate late minutes, double the late minutes. And a student who arrives more than 5 minutes late should receive half an absence. Thank you.
That's structure.
One thing Brian was amazed about was that we didn't have like a 10-year reunion. I mean, that really bothered him. And we talked about having a reunion, like a 20-year reunion. Up until probably right before he got sick, we were going to plan on doing it. Brian lived far away. It was hard for him, but Jimmy and I talked about maybe like this year, especially now that we're in touch a little bit.
Wednesday shop. May I have the
We
attention
could work on
of all
having a
students and
reunion.
staff?
I'd like to know how the rest of the
As
people
you are
are.
aware,
Yes.
I'm sure there's some real
we have
success
had
stories
one
out there.
Tuesday
Well,
where we
to
had
that
inclement
point,
weather and we had to cancel class.
first of all, I would
If
be
you have a
more than
Tuesday,
happy to
Thursday
share
class,
all
which
of the
most of
names
you
and
have,
addresses of
we'll have to
everybody
make
that I
up that
have with
Tuesday.
anyone who would like to do that. Ken always said,
Next week
if
I will
it
give you
happens,
a
I'm the one who's
calendar.
going to do it. And I
Dates
used to say,
will be made
no
up
way, it's going to
in
be
May
students who
and
does it
June.
if it's going to happen. And he can be right, and we can be right, and it can still happen because 1975 is the actual year of the first graduation.
Right.
This year is the year of the first the school, the school opening.
John, what's going on with you?
I retired 2 years ago, and I'm gonna borrow from Norman Schwarzkopf. I heard him say this week that when he was asked about retirement, he said, "Retirement is it's a lot. There's a lot more work, and you have less people to help you." But I found that there's been an awful lot of people helping me get this together, but it is a lot of work. I had no idea retirement was going to be so busy. I have started a consulting firm called LSI. There's a little card over there with a picture of the buildings, the major hall at the Grand Hall at Ellis Island, and that's why I named it LSI, LSI Land. But LSI stands for Learning Systems Institute, because the last century my thought was the gateway to America was Ellis Island. Immigrants to this country came through Ellis Island. My feeling these days, based on what I've been hearing some of you guys saying, is that I think that this is a whole new world. I think it's a lot more violent world today than when we were working together. I think the danger that young people face from violence in some neighborhoods and in some parts of this country are far greater than we faced. But the gateway, Ellis Island isn't there anymore. The gateway today is learning systems. And one of the things that we tried to do was teach people how to learn. That was one of the things that we tried to give all of you 20 years ago. And I think when you know how to learn, you can begin to discover what your mission is. And I think each one of us have that. Joyce, you pushed the right button. You shouldn't have asked me because now I'm talking. I think the New York State is trying to implement a new compact for learning among schools around the state, but they're proceeding from the old model, and that one was a model that says that it's like the medical model. You know, you deal with sick people. Students have problems, so you have to help them with their problems. You have to help them with their difficulties. Our model was Maslow's model. It turned the world upside down. It said, no, let's not look at the neurotics. Let's not look at the mentally disturbed. Let's not look at the sick people or the troublemakers. Let's find the models, as Steve said, of the best role models we can find. And let's see what they did right. And let's find out how they did it. And what we have to do in the state today, and I think that we're not doing it, even with this new compact for learning, is to say, there's nothing wrong with kids. Kids are great. Kids are wonderful. All you have to do is let them be who they are. First of all, some of them have to find out who they are because they have gotten lost along the way, and they need somebody who they can trust and is trustworthy to help them find who they are, and then be that. Simple, but not so simple. The world is a lot more violent and a lot more dangerous than it was when we were doing our growing up in those years. But I'm having a wonderful time doing this. I thought I was going to reach closure with MT finally. I find out that it's opened another door.
Well, it's good to hear from you all, taking all perspectives. I loved it. I was busy. I must say I didn't have a lot of floundering time. I was busy. Went on a lot of shows. I remember that. And the images brought those back. It was an attempt to put some of our ideas into play. But that's all it was. It's just the beginning. And each of you took it in whatever ways you could use it and run with it from there. For myself, I'm still working at it. We need new schooling systems in this country. It's overwhelming and it's obvious. And each community, each group of people who find a way to get it together will have to devise one that's going to respond to their circumstances. But I think that some of the stuff that we've done here. The personal contact, the confrontation, the allowing of diversity rather than the insisting upon, the guidelines, the basic notion of group process, the ability to talk things out, our sitting in a circle, our abandoning the bells, our trying new things when the old things didn't seem to be. I think those are all going to be there, and many more that I don't think are this one. In any case, it was just kind of fun to listen to you all, and I hope you're enjoying your life.
Thanks, everybody.